The grandson brought his grandmother to see me. This is the second part. Continuing from the first, it's the second leg. I've been asked for this for a long time, and I've been preparing this content for quite a while. It's going to be very long, so make yourself comfortable, pour yourself some tea, grab some cookies, and let's watch together. The right leg, the one with the green antiseptic on it, we've already treated that one. You can easily find this video on my YouTube channel feed. Just search for my name, Lavrentieva Aliona. Today I'm dedicating the video to the left leg. Here's what it looks like. I'm showing it from the side on purpose so you can see how the toes have shifted and become deformed. And let's take a closer look at what we have here. We have very thickened nails. One of them, even the second toe for example, is already curved upward. It looks like a horn. We can see a small ulcer here, and now we need to do some cleaning. For my work, as before, I use the affordable Dr. Alex SP 100 device. I'll show a picture and you can find it online or on marketplaces. And as always, I answer the question, does this device handle pedicure treatments well? I think the answer here is pretty obvious. Because if it was able to file something like that, then I'm sure it can handle any heels absolutely without any problems. Here's how it looks from the outside. So we were sitting here, me with 2 faux blancs all covered in dust, because most of the time actually I had to turn off the faux blanc myself. Because Grandma was scared and didn't know where the noise came from. She was very uncomfortable. Grandma, 76, has lived a long life, but her story... Here, I'm showing you the device. Her story is in the first part. Today I want to dedicate this video to cleaning. I know some of you enjoy colors and cleaning videos, and I also have professionals watching. And today I would like to focus on this second toe and say that when the nail grows and deforms like this, this doesn't happen in a month or even in a year. It takes some time, most likely a very, very long time. Not only does the nail become deformed, but the underlying nail bed does too. And the danger here is that when you're filing like this, you don't know how deformed the nail bed is or where the little capillaries are growing. As you can see, I'm switching between the drill bits and the nippers. These nippers are called glazki due to their unique shape. And I'm being very careful, taking tiny steps, trying to get in there in a way that I don't cut off anything extra. Because throughout the entire appointment, I didn't know and couldn't have known what the test results would be for this grandma. And I didn't understand what was going on with her blood sugar. What if I hurt her somewhere? What if her wound doesn't heal? Of course, that's a special risk zone. Pedicure specialists and podologists must recognize that skin changes are visually noticeable. Anyone treating diabetic foot should be cautious. It's safer to underclean than overclean, since even a small wound can cause problems. By the way, in my work, I use a carbide burr from the set of carbide burrs by KMIS. They have a set of 5 burrs. There's the first set and a second updated one. These burrs range from small to large diameter. They're very convenient for these kinds of procedures because you really have to do a lot of filing here. I've nearly filed off this whole nail already. Look! I'm taking the nippers again. I'll show the tool on the screen here as well. These are nippers from Nippon Nippers. They have a non-standard grip, but in some situations they fit quite comfortably in the hand. I'm very afraid right now that I might miss the right spot and accidentally catch something else. Here I already switched to different nippers. I kept thinking about which tool I could use to get in there without causing her any pain. And I just couldn't get the hang of it. Because, well, how can I put it? There are never identical situations and it always happens so differently every time. You just can't predict everything. I think it's already clear on the video that where I've already cleaned the wound bed, you can see pink skin there, where in theory it shouldn't be. That's the deformation, the wound bed I mentioned. And in the end, I had to use a carbide burr to file almost all the way through. I realized that with a bit more, I'd reach the cuticle. And I also understood that, of course, we couldn't just leave it like that either. The grandmother and her grandson requested that she be able to walk comfortably without the nails bothering her, so she could easily wear socks and similar tasks. So we did our best, and here, by the way, is that very telling moment. I mentioned that my exhaust fan was turned off, and right now it's actually still off. And look at how much dust there is everywhere. It's flying off in all directions. Honestly, I have no idea how long this pedicure took me. It was probably about 4 hours since I removed the polish from one foot, then the other. At one point I wondered, will I really finish it? Can I clean everything up completely? because the amount of work was really big. I haven't had this many deformed nails in a long time. At one point, I lost some faith in myself, but as you can see, I still managed to handle this finger. You see, when I press on it with the nippers, we can see that the nail bed is quite flexible, and this is actually basically dangerous. Next, using the TVS burr, I move on to the next nail. It is also deformed, it is also twisted. But here the situation is much better because it doesn't point strongly upward, it still grows more to the side. And it's much easier to clean up something like this. Of course, I understand what you're thinking right now. You're probably thinking there's a fungal infection on every nail. Honestly, it's likely on all of them. There's likely a fungal infection on the feet, including rashes between the toes. But when it comes to elderly people like this, honestly, it's not that important to me. Well, I mean, of course, we can take a sample for analysis. We can definitely do all that. But you have to understand that here you just need to make life easier for the person. Now I'm moving on to the big toe. I showed you how much it has shifted to the side and how deformed this toe and nail are. As you can see, I'm changing the drill bits. I'm trying to find one that will file more, one that's bigger in size. I'm trying all sorts of different ones. By the way, I tried it on her because I had some test carbide bits here, and of course I really put them to the test. Watching the video now, I think, wow, what a nightmare with all that dust. But unfortunately, I had to sit in it completely because, again, my grandma was just extremely uncomfortable. And of course, I will always choose the client's comfort, even if it's a model. Let me remind you, I work with my models for free because I create content with them. It usually takes longer than a regular service. I haven't worked as a master or offered services in a long time, so I don't see a reason to charge people. Because I often spend 5, 6, sometimes 7 or even 8 hours with my models. I understand someone might be really surprised right now, but it's important to me. To carefully analyze the case, explain everything, give recommendations, and gather information is often very important. I just wanted to emphasize that. And to say that a very big problem in podology and services in general is that there simply isn't an adequate consultation. Because you need to explain even those things to the client that seem more than obvious to you. I've been recording my videos and posting them here on YouTube for quite a while. And every time I'm actually saying the same thing, just in different words, but each time I try to do it carefully and clearly. And also our clients who don't live for nails have no idea what happened to them. They often think that it's just some kind of curse that fell on them from the sky. And in general, there's no logical explanation for it. And the most important thing, in my opinion, that a competent specialist should be able to do is to communicate information to their client and to be able to understand and recognize your client's level of readiness to actually take any action. Because sometimes I explain something to a person and realize that she won't take care of her shoes, she won't go get insoles made. Well, yes. Or she or he will keep playing sports, etc. And when I see a grandmother like that, I completely understand that no one is going to run any tests here. No one is going to treat this fungus. The goal is to live as long as this grandma has left. Calmly, so that at least she isn't bothered by the fact that she can't, well, just use her legs. It's fine. She lives in a private house with a garden and has her own things to do. And to be able to use her legs fully. And this kind of treatment will last her for quite a long time. But I told them that it would be good if they came back in a few months, and preferably with some test results. That would be just wonderful and great, because if there are any problems with sugar, then at the very least you can try to follow a diet. And it's true, many people don't believe it, but really a simple diet and proper nutrition when you have high blood sugar do give results. That's absolutely true and 100% correct. By the way, I wanted to say yes. Take a closer look at your relatives. Take a closer look at your grandmothers and grandfathers. If you suddenly notice something similar in them, or if something is starting with them, they will actually feel very pleased and relieved after such a procedure. So find a podologist in your city. It's very easy to do. You go to a search engine like Yandex, Google, and so on. If suddenly one of them is banned, we make a note somewhere like, you can't say that this organization is banned, and so on. If you notice something like this in one of your relatives, it's better to take that person to a specialist. Yes, pathology is not exactly a cheap pleasure, but it's better not to let it get to what we're about to see in the video. Grandma isn't in pain here. She's mostly scared since her leg is twitching, which you can see now too, but she's actually fine. When you run a metal instrument over someone's skin, they have no idea what's happening to them. Of course, she reacts. Her body reacts, so everything is fine. No one was harmed during this procedure. Next, I'll show you how we carefully try to remove that part of the nail plate that's twisted and goes a little under the fold using straight cutting nippers. That's not surprising since the finger is turned, so some deformations are expected. But I also want to draw your attention to the second toe, which has this bluish red tint. I'm not a doctor. I can't name the nature of this condition, but it's something that looks like a bruise, and most likely it's because the toes are very close to each other. Her slippers are already deformed at the beginning because her foot is wider than her shoes. And it's quite possible that this is the result of some kind of pressure, specifically from the neighboring toe. Well, of course, you have to understand that this is an elderly person. Blood circulation isn't the same anymore, metabolic processes are different, and you just need to take that into account. And now, by the way, I've picked up a straight cutting tweezer after the straight cutters. Notice that this kind of tweezer has special little teeth inside. This instrument is used in pathological practice. It's used specifically in those moments when you need to grab something like a piece or a part and you don't want it to slip out. It's the same with these forceps. They're a handy tool when you need to pick something up or grab something. And as you can see, I was able to gently move aside this piece of the bed that was lying there. It's pretty soft and soaked. All of this is moist because nothing under the nail plate was drying out, of course. When Grandma washed her feet, moisture kept building up there. Now I'm holding it with tweezers in one hand and cutting with the other. And we see this kind of piece of the nail bed that just stayed like that. Indeed, when you file nails like these, they're all a bit softened, a bit moist. And as you work on this nail, you've probably already noticed that the nail bed itself, just like on the other foot, is moist. A strong deformation that developed gradually over the years, not all at once. And we see a depression, we see dents, we see the contour of the nail plate, this deformed one which was pressing into the skin. All of this, of course, leaves marks on the finger. It's not normal, but it's a possible scenario of a logical condition of the nail bed, specifically in those situations when your nail is deformed and the finger is deformed. All of this puts pressure, all of this squeezes, approximately like this. Our task here is to clean, clear, and remove as much dry skin as possible. But I remind you that, as I mentioned at the beginning, I don't have the test results. That's why we'll try to do everything as gently as possible, and that's why we won't be able to achieve a 100% cleaning. Because I understood that one awkward move, if I touch something, there could be consequences. By the way, I have a video where I showed the treatment. This video on my YouTube channel is called "This Case Scared Me." Let me put the picture up here somewhere, go check it out too. Because the model who came to me there actually has diabetes. And a few months after I did the treatment for her, I found out that she ended up in the hospital. And I found out that she had injured herself. Her toe, and unfortunately in the hospital part of it. Well, in short, the doctors removed it because there was nothing left to restore. Part of the phalanx is missing, which happens sometimes. Go ahead and check it out. I also want to share some good news, because when she was admitted to the hospital, they did all the tests, did everything, told her about the diet, and of course they made her follow that diet there. Because you can't fool around in the hospital, they won't let you eat anything extra. And her blood sugar levels got much better. That's the very proof that just a diet alone will really work. Yes, not completely, yes, not 100%, but it's very, very important. Diet exists for a reason. That was a brief digression. Let me remind you again that I'm working with the Dr. Alex SP100 device. This is a budget version of the device. I'm showing the image and have a promo code for it. And who am I not to tell you about the discount on the device, because maybe someone is looking for it right now. And as you can see, it does a great job even with such difficult nails. Well, the bit I'm working with right now is from KMIS company. It's a factory here in Kazan. It's a set of carbide burrs. I'll leave a link to them here as well. And if you work with core calluses, if you do complex cleanings, basically if you do podology, then I highly recommend having these bits in your arsenal as well. They last a really long time. To be honest, I have about 4 of these sets in use overall. And for several years, well, to be honest, maybe 2 years, maybe even 3, and I have 1 new set. And I want to say that these cutters really last a long time. They serve for a long time. Once you buy them, they'll stay with you forever. Now focus on the 3rd finger. There was a small red spot there. So we did have a minor accident while working. I was really worried about that finger. But I used the Podiofarm spray. It's called Septofoam. It's a spray that has astringent properties. So minor capillary ones. You know, those little things when they're so small, it helps to soothe them. But now, if you watch this little finger, you'll notice that it's the red liquid. I hope that YouTube won't notice what we're doing here and won't block us or anything, but that's not for sure, as they say. So you'll notice that the red liquid doesn't coagulate the way it should. And this can actually indicate that in this situation, there really are problems with sugar. That's why you need to pay attention to these things and always be more careful. If you don't feel strong and confident enough to handle this, it's better to refer the person to another specialist you truly trust. By the way, I actually recommend that everyone avoid working alone and instead work within a community or some kind of partnership, because together we are much stronger than we are individually. So let's be friends. I want to say this to all podologists and specialists because honestly, when we interact and communicate with each other, things will be much better. And there's nothing scary about it. If you send your client and say, Tamara, it would be better for you to see this specialist, she is more competent in this matter. In this way, in front of your client, you will actually appear to be a greater professional, in my opinion, than if you tried to do something on your own. Now I'm moving on to a softer approach. I took this bit with a blue band. It's a pedicure drop bit, also called a carrot bit. Call it whatever you like. It's a pretty universal bit. And I'm trying to at least clean something up to make it look a bit nicer and cleaner, but the main thing is to do it without overdoing it. But the difficulty I'm facing is that the nail plates are extremely moist and my bits keep getting clogged all the time. So diamond bits wear out pretty quickly in this situation because they're really not designed for this kind of work. I help myself with different tools, and here I have my eyes again. What did I use? In situations like this, anything goes if you get the result. At least something decent. I'm not even asking for anything amazing. Obviously, beauty isn't even a consideration here, it's just a matter of comfort. And if you work with elderly people, it would be really good if their relatives who bring them could stay with you as well. So this is exactly the case when I would actually be happy to let the accompanying person into the office. For instance, I don't always allow the accompanying person in with children or teens, but sometimes I do with teenagers. I might ask the mother to step out simply because she might be nervous herself, get anxious, worry, and so on, which could make the child anxious too. With elderly people, I encourage having relatives in the room because during the procedure, I show something, explain things, give some comments, and I try to explain this to the accompanying relative because I understand that grandma may not be able to take everything in anymore and she might not remember something or pay close enough attention. So it's great that the grandson stayed with us the whole time, watched what we were doing, understood that his grandma was safe with us at that moment, and observed our treatment process. I apologize for the poor quality of the video and the sloppy editing, but it was just so difficult and so hard to put all this content together. So, well, basically you get what we ended up with. I know you asked for this second part, and here it is. This is what our cleanup looks like. This is our final result. All in all, I think it's, well, not that bad. It got much better. Babushka feels relieved, so the goal is achieved. And here, yes, my perfectionism just won in the end. Yes, I realized that there is still this area with some, well, yellow residue. I thought I could carefully try to remove it. But I kept telling myself, you have to stop in time, because grandmothers are our beauty. They say the internet is useless because everything on it is so different. There were requests. Actually, she had none. Only her grandson did. She just accepted what we did with her. We're nearly done with the procedure. I gave all the recommendations. Fresh, clean socks, of course, too. I definitely advise the grandson that hygiene must always be dry and clean. And I'll be waiting for them for the next cleaning in, well, I don't know, about 4 months, give or take, or whenever she starts feeling discomfort again. That's all from me. Share your thoughts in the comments.